Welcome to South-South News. I'm Bill Miller. One of the main goals of South-South News is to focus attention on unique and innovative activities that are taking place, especially in economically developing countries. My guest today is going to bring us up to date on some really unique activities in Dominica. My guest is Ian Douglas. His Excellency is the Minister of Tourism and Legal Affairs in the country of Dominica. Your Excellency, welcome to South-South News.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I appreciate you being with me today. Let's talk, first off, we're going to get into the really interesting things you're doing, but let's talk a little bit about Dominica. I'm sure many of our viewers have been to Dominica, they've seen it on the map, and I'm sure a lot of them want to go there, but tell us a little bit about the country. How large is it, the population, major industries, things like that.
Yeah, well, the first thing I think we need to establish is Dominica is not the Dominican Republic. And a lot of our viewers around the world, every time we go to different trade shows and stuff, and you start speaking about Dominica, they say, oh yeah, I've been there, it's so beautiful and stuff, and then they start speaking Spanish to you. And Dominica is a small island in the Eastern Caribbean. We're about 300 square miles, and we're just about a population of about 70,000 people, English speaking, because we used to be formerly a colony of Britain, of the United Kingdom. We are now independent. I've been independent since 1978. And we speak English, of course. Bananas used to be, agriculture used to be the main stay of our economy. We used to ship bananas again to the United Kingdom. But tourism has slowly replaced bananas as the main foreign exchange earner of the country. And out of a population of about 70,000, you have tourism creating probably about 3,000 direct jobs, persons involved in the taxi driving, tour operators, vendors, hoteliers, restaurateurs, and then we have maybe another 6,000 indirect jobs, people who directly provide goods and services to the tourism sector. This year, in the last fiscal year, tourism brought in about $240 million into the economy. So tourism really is the mainstay of Dominica's economy right now. And the main thrust of our tourism industry really is pushing ecotourism and all that it entails, you know, really pushing the country out as the nature island of the world, you know, and that's what we tell people. Typically, when viewers or when persons wishing to go on a holiday think of the Caribbean, they think of one Caribbean. But within the Caribbean, you have a collection of islands, and most of them are branded as really sun, sea, and sand. You know, that's what people think the Caribbean of, you know, sunshine, you know, sitting under a coconut tree on the beach, drinking some rum punch, really. But Dominica carries a different sort of brand within the whole Caribbean theme. And so Dominica is green and unspoiled, really. I mean, 70% of our forests of Dominica is still covered with forests, some of it virgin forest. We have 365 rivers, and that's one of the things that we are known for. One river for every day of the year. We have a lot of waterfalls. A lot of the tourists who come to Dominica, even our cruise ship tourists who just come for a day, get to visit some of our spectacular waterfalls, you know, water just gushing. Or they go to the hot springs, you know, it's like a natural spa, sitting in one of the hot tubs in the earth, and the warm water and the steam just coming bubbling out of the earth. You know, it's very therapeutic. And these are some of the kind of products that the Dominica tourism industry offers to the world. And it's really, really spectacular. And I'm not just saying that because I am Dominican, but everybody who comes to Dominica really gets to experience Mother Nature at her best, and really gets rejuvenated. You know, it's a sort of rest, relaxation, and sort of recuperation type of holiday. That is what we really sell. Soft adventure, hiking. We just did a hiking trail that spans the entire country. Of course, Dominica is one of the most rugged pieces of islands per square mile on the face of the earth, probably only rivaled by countries like Switzerland. Dominica is really very, very mountainous. And so hiking and trekking through the rainforest, you know, or bird watching, that sort of thing, you know. We have some spectacular views and some vistas from the mountaintop, just looking out at the expanse of green and the blue sea. You know, it's really, really spectacular. Another aspect of Dominica's tourism industry which is really fascinating and really have gotten us on the map is our diving. Dominica probably has one of the top dive destinations in the world, top 10 dive destinations. In fact, we are about number 3 in terms of one of the best dive destinations in the world. Our underwater scenery and if for scuba divers, what they usually go down to look at is the animal life and the variety of animal life, the sea crabs, the seahorses, the sea urchins, I mean, you name it, underwater, I mean, and it's like a wall dive, it's like a shelf dive. So you can just go down for like 70, 80, 100 feet and see a whole range of different spectacular plant life and animal life, flora and fauna. Underwater is just as beautiful as it is above the water. It's green, you know. We tell people that the Dominican sunshine is rain. You know, you walk through the rainforest and, you know, you're sprinkled by the rain every so often. And that's why we have so many rivers, you know, just gushing out to the sea every day. I mean, it's like having a swimming pool literally at the back of your house, you know. And we really pride ourselves on being the nature island of the world.
I can believe that. And that's remarkable.
365 rivers.
One for each
a
day
river
of the
for
year.
every day of the year.
That is
literally.
incredible. Literally. That's
Indeed.
right. Well, everything I've heard of Dominica and seen is just a pristine paradise. It's a beautiful area, but it's so atypical. You were describing it's very mountainous, very rugged in comparison to most of the islands in the Caribbean. You look at the Cayman Islands or further
right.
north.
Antigua,
you look at
Barbados,
Anguilla, different ones like that. Some of them are just barely above sea level.
Absolutely.
But you have probably the most uniquely formed island. It was formed out of volcanic
activity. You see, some of the islands, like you said, like the Bahamas and Antigua, and so they were formed by limestone creation. So they literally came up from the seabed, really, and was formed. So that's why they're so flat. But Dominica, on the other hand, was formed due to volcanic activity, like Hawaii and that sort of thing. So right. So that's why we are so mountainous, you know. And we have a settlement of original Amerindians who came down the Orinoco, just like the Indians who are in America, and they are called the Carib Indians, and they live on a special sort of settlement, and that in itself is a tourist attraction back home. A lot of people go to their community to see how they lived and how their lifestyle, their diet, and stuff for hundreds of years ago. I say that to tell you that their name for Dominican, they were the original settlers of Dominica. They came down the Orinoco and first settled in Dominica way before anybody else came to Dominica. And their name for Dominica is Waitukubuli, and that means tall is her body. That's what they named the island, because of all her mountain peaks and stuff and all the valleys and stuff. So you could see, you know, everything about Dominica is about how mountainous she is and stuff. And on the one hand, it makes development difficult. Because, I mean, a mile of road that would probably in the Bahamas cost, let's say, $1 million because it's flat, in Dominica would probably cost us 2 or 3 million. You know, everything about us, the fact that we do not have an international airport. So we are served really by airlines that come into our neighbors, like hubs. And then you have the smaller aircraft like the Dash 8 and stuff that come from, let's say, Antigua or Barbados, St. Martin, into Dominica on a regular basis. But the inverse is also true. While some of the rugged aspects of Dominica has been a disadvantage, but it is the same rugged nature of Dominica that has kept her so pristine, that has kept her having almost 70% of her land still being covered in original forest cover and so green. And so now that the world is becoming more conscious, you have a more conscious traveler now. And now that persons are paying more attention to the eco issues and conservation issues and preserving what they have for future generations, Dominica is well placed to welcome that kind of new and modern conscious traveler. Because like I said, what we have in Dominica, the tourism we have is ecotourism. And ecotourism doesn't only entail just the green vegetation or the lush vegetation or the crystal clear waters. Ecotourism for us in Dominica is about everything that we do. our people, the heritage, like I told you, of the Caribbeans, their lifestyle, the way they live, our fisher folk, you know, our farmers, the fresh fruits and vegetables that are used, you know, to offer to our visitors and our tourists. You know, everything about Dominica says that we can learn from your life. We can, because, and also too, in Dominica, we have the highest percentage of centenarians, probably anywhere else in the world. We have right now about 30 persons out of a population of 60,000 living beyond the age of 100. We had about 5 years ago, she's now deceased, one lady which we knew was the oldest woman in the world. She was 128 years. And we tried to get her into the Guinness Book of World Records, but we couldn't get the authenticated birth certificate so that we could present to the Guinness people. But we knew from the stories that she told us, and from persons who, she had a neighbor who was 118 years, and that lady, birth could be authenticated, and that lady remembers that other lady who was 128 as a grown-up and an older woman than she was when she was young. So that's what Dominica does to you. Because of the natural way of life, the fresh water that we eat every day. Some of our foods are not processed. The salads that you will get can literally just be picked out of the garden. One of our tourism attractions in Dominica is really an organic farm where the guys, they produce everything using no preservatives, no fertilizers, no all natural pest control, everything. And so the tourists can walk through those gardens, and you can literally pull a carrot out of the ground, wash it in the stream, and just eat it right there. They can make fresh salads, teas, herbal teas. You can pick the mint leaves fresh from the mint beds, and literally you'll get some hot water and make a mint tea right there, or cinnamon, spice and stuff. And the tourists just love it. They just love it when they come to Dominica. And that is really what we sell. And I don't think that there's anywhere else on the face of the earth that you can really get that real authentic, really authentic lifestyle. You know, really what it used to be like 100 years ago, and we have preserved that in Dominica. And we want to offer that to the rest of the world. You know, we want to say that here it is, there is this country on the face of the earth where you can really come to find the fountain of youth, you know, and
Exactly.
it exists.
And you're absolutely right, because by not using preservatives, not using pesticides, things like that, those things actually cut our lives shorter. It's been proven to do that. And of course, you don't have air pollution problems that you would have in
Not at all.
a lot of the large cities. You have a pristine environment. And I did not realize that longevity was another strong selling point for Dominica, but it certainly is.
Absolutely.
Before I get off the Caribbean Indians, so they were fascinating. You mentioned they were the first inhabitants. They came down the Orinoco River out of Venezuela and that area.
Yeah.
And of course, they dominated the Caribbean. I guess the Caribbean was named for the Carib Indians.
Well, very well.
Later,
very well. Exactly.
Perhaps.
Exactly.
Yes, but anyone interested in studying the history of the Caribbean will certainly learn a lot about the Carib Indians and the Arawaks too. I believe
That's
were
right.
very influential.
You know your history. Cool.
But
cool.
it's a fascinating story, and I would encourage people to go to the library or go Google them and come up with a lot of good information. Ecotourism. This is a term we've been hearing a lot about. You've alluded to it.
Yes.
It sounds to me that you've really, when you talk about ecotourism, well, first I'd like if you have a definition, I'm sure you do.
Sure.
But it sounds to me like you involve more of your country, your people. You think about it in a holistic way when you're talking about doing it. But how do you folks define ecotourism?
Yeah, well, I mean, we pride ourselves on being one of the forerunners of the whole philosophy that's ecotourism. And when we speak about ecotourism, we mean preserving what you have, what Mother Nature has given to you to offer as a tourism product. So everything you do is about ecotourism. You know, traditionally, like I said, when the visitor in the 70s and in the 80s thought about the Caribbean, you're going to the Caribbean for a holiday, persons would more think about sand, sea, and sun, you know. But when we speak about ecotourism in Dominica, we talk about the vegetation, keeping it in as pristine a state as we found it, really preserving it, conservation. We speak of our rivers. But more importantly, we speak of a lifestyle of our people, the way we take care of our environment, the whole litter issue. We don't want wanton littering. Even in power, in the generation of power, we have had hydroelectric power that supplies about 30% of our power right now. And we want to eventually phase out of fossil fuel generated power. So right now we're experimenting with geothermal. And like we said earlier on in the interview, Dominica itself is one big volcano. We have probably the only or the largest boiling lake in the world is in Dominica, where the water just bubbles out of the ground. And you can literally, some tourists, they hike up just to look at this, as far as I'm concerned, one of the wonders of the world. So we want to harness that power, and we are now well into the exploratory phase of it, harnessing our geothermal power to power the entire country so that we do not have to depend on fossil fuel anymore. And all that is part of what ecotourism is all about. It's a lifestyle. Everything that we do in Dominica is about preserving our environment, preserving our lifestyle, our heritage. I told you about the Caribs and the way they live. I told you about our centenarians, and we cherish them, and they are like icons in Dominica, so that we can show them off to the rest of the world. People want to come to Dominica to find out the secret of longevity. Why have these people been able to live for so long? And we say that they've been able to live for so long by the teas that they have drunk all their lives, by the fresh fish from the sea that they have ate all their lives, from the salads, the green lettuce and the cabbages and the fruits and the fresh fruit juice, the orange juice and the cherries and the flowers and the scent of the flowers around. So everything about us is what we call eco. And we want to have a lifestyle that is eco-friendly, and we offer that lifestyle as a showcase of who we are and what we are as a people to give to the rest of the world. And that's where the whole ecotourism concept comes in. So what we have done is, every community in Dominica, we think, has a special characteristic. And I would say we have maybe about 20 major communities, the Caribbeans being one community. Then we have some communities that live on the coast, and we have some communities that live more in the hinterland, like in the rainforest, up on the mountains and stuff. And every one of those communities are unique in their own way. For example, like me, I am from the second town called Portsmouth, and it's a port. It's a town built around a port. And in the 18th century, when the British and the French would fight wars or the great naval battles for the possession of Dominica, for the occupation of Dominica, that was the center of where those battles were waged, because the entry into the port was vital to the whole occupation of the country. And I've said that to say there are some relics and some old forts and stuff that have been laid in ruins from those past years, and then we are now restoring those fortifications so that persons can see what the lifestyle was way back 200-300 years ago. And then we have other communities in Dominica, where Dominica used to be a big sugarcane plantation. During the 1800s and the 1700s, we had slavery. Just like you had in the US, we had slavery where Africans were brought over to work the sugar plantations. And so we have relics of those sugar mills and stuff that are still there, those big some of them are water mills and stuff. So we are now trying to preserve and recreate that sort of 18th century feel to make them tourism sites and attractions for persons to come and visit. So when you come and you enjoy the rivers, you enjoy the waterfalls, but then you can enjoy our heritage. You can enjoy where we came from, where we are, and where we're going to as a people. And all that really encompasses the whole ecotourism theme. So it's not just about our flora and our fauna, but it's about everything that we do. The way our fishermen go out at the crack of dawn in the morning, and they come back just before dusk, with fresh fish, and they blow that conch shell, ooh, and that for years signal the availability of fish for sale, and how the women come on the shore and they get the fish, and the way that they go home and they prepare it in their traditional ways with all the local herbs and spices and stuff. We offer that to our guests in our restaurants, in our hotels, and that in itself is what our tourism is all about. And we say that everybody in Dominica in some way or another, even if you're not directly involved in tourism, but you contribute towards the tourism package in Dominica, towards the brand, the eco brand, the Dominica brand, the Nature Island of the World brand. And that's what I mean when I say eco.
Well, Your Excellency, Ian Douglas, you are a tremendous spokesperson for Dominica, and you are the Minister of Tourism and Legal Affairs.
Indeed.
And I know after hearing you today, if people have not been to Dominica, they're going to go, and
They
if
should
they've
go.
been there, they're going to return. But I
Indeed.
want to thank you so very much for a
Yeah.
very interesting and a very informative program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure. I'm Bill Miller. Thank you for joining us on South South News.